everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and another video, another time trial video, another Club 10, but as promised or as hoped for, this time different course. So this is actually the South Pennine Road Club 10-mile time trial, which essentially runs between two roundabouts. It's about 2.5 miles in either direction, so you do it twice, with the exception being the finish. You cross that second roundabout and sort of head up a very small gradient basically to the finish. Those two roundabouts I'm talking about, that are sort of 2.5 miles apart, between Sudbury and Doveridge, which is North Derbyshire as far as I know. I think bordering sort of Staffordshire, but I could be mistaken about that. So I've actually had my eye on this course for quite a while, at least a couple of years anyway. Last year, and I think I'm right in saying this, last year it was running weekly on a Thursday, but for one reason or another, either I wasn't around because of work, or the weather was crap, or just whatever it was, I never actually made it. This year what they've done is they've switched it to, and I think again I'm correct in saying this, it's the first Thursday of each of the months, and it's going to run between May and August. So this was the first one. There was a rider turnout of 15, possibly 16, few members of South Pennine Road Club, fair few members from Derby Triathlon Club, and then me of Colville Wheelers. But very, very friendly in terms of the sign-off, the other riders that were there. I was just going to say I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't really expect any other, to be perfectly honest, but considering it was the first time I turned up, it was cash only. I didn't have any cash, so incredibly trusting, and the guys who run the event are going to send me a PayPal invoice, and I'm going to pay them that way, which I thought was really good. I mean, it's not like I'm kind of robbing them. It's £3.50, which I thought was, in fact, I had to check it because I thought, well, that's incredibly cheap. So good on them also for that as well. And yeah, as I say, I've had my eye on this for a while, and my plan this year, I'm sorry if I've already said this, if not, I've definitely said it in a previous video, but my plan this year really is to race less often. I'm still keeping my eye out for 1 or 2 opens, particularly in the summer months and post-holiday. But my plan really, race less often, but just sort of cherry pick as and when, and which course I kind of want to do. So there's a couple of other Club 10s fairly close by, similar distance to this from home, so it was about 30-35 minutes. It was worth the trip. I like the course. This was the type of thing that I've been after for a little while, so I'm glad that it didn't disappoint. And really what I was after is something that was essentially less technical, because I just end up disappointing myself. So like with some of the other courses, there's junctions. I know I'm going too hard into the junction, so I end up having to brake too hard, and then I'm sprinting out from the, practically a standstill, whilst then trying to recover and keep the power down, and I'm just not very good at it. I think some days I'm better than others, but yeah, it's definitely one of my flaws. So the good thing about this is essentially it's 2.5 miles in each direction, and as you guys can see, it's pretty, it's wide, it's just long straight roads really, and so what it gave me the opportunity to do was to see how well the training had been paying off in terms of holding a sustained power over the duration of the course. There was a couple of times where I was definitely a bit lighter. That was conscious, in the sense that I'm not really familiar with this course, despite warming up on it for sort of 15 minutes or so. It's very different than when you're trying to sort of put out as much power as you possibly can. So there was a couple of areas where I'm definitely going lighter, basically for fear of blowing up and then having to hold on for kind of the remaining 7 miles or 4 miles or kind of whatever it is. And I think in hindsight as well, I probably could have gone with my largest chainring on this. I have ridden these roads before. I've cycled sort of on a longer road ride. I've used these roads a few times. But of course, when you've cycled, 30, 35, 40 miles from home, whatever it is, I've no idea if it's even that far, but you've already used a bit of energy, and obviously being on a road bike is quite different. So in any case, I probably at times was a little too measured, and I think I probably could have just gone a little bit harder. But in any case, I was happy with the outcome. I was happy with the power that I was able to put down, barring one hold up and then rain starting about 30 seconds from the finish, which was also where my hold up was. Overall, very good, and weather permitting, I will be back for this one in June and also July. What else is there to say? I think I've said this is run by South Pennine Road Club. Yes, have. But equally, if anybody has any sort of questions about where the start finish is, where you sign on, park, all that type of thing, then by all means just drop me a comment, and I'll happily answer that question. I think otherwise, so early part of June, if the weather's okay, I will go and do this one again. Won't have the new bike by that point, but by July I should. In fact, I should have had it for a couple of days at that point. So this could be, and I think it's probably a really good course for testing the new bike out, testing position, all that type of stuff. But again, we'll see. Only slight drawback to that is I will be less than a week off of holiday, having done nothing for a week and smashed an all-inclusive. So I might just end up in bib shorts and a jersey at that point, because these skin suits, you kind of got to be a bit lean, and I sized down this year, so really have got to be lean. In any case, we won't worry about that now. That's a couple of months off. So I hope you liked the video anyway. Definitely something different. I enjoyed this a lot. As I've already said, if you do have any comments or questions, please do drop them in the section below. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you would like to see more. Thank you very much for watching.